facing the initial portfolio in an 18xx game, it's often very difficult to figure out in a solitaire play, in an opposed play too, how you allocate your bids, whatever you're going to do. In an opposed game, you just kind of go by your own feeling until you know the game well, and you make your choices and you live with them. With this one, it's a little different because everybody's making their pick initially, secretly. So this is a somewhat modified version to what I did the first play. What I'm going to do is I've assigned each player tokens to match their color, or to match a color that I'm going to align to the different cards. But this isn't how you actually do it when you set it up. When you set it up, you write down on a piece of paper which two companies you're interested in. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll a pair of dice for each pick. So this will be the centerpiece, and it will be the 7, because I think it is the most powerful card. And I'm just saying everybody's got the same feeling here, but the distributions and the die rolls will determine what the actual player's feelings are. So it could end up very random, because you don't necessarily want to be in on the best thing, because it could get the shit bit out of it, and maybe you end up with something you didn't really want because nobody bid on it. So I'm going to make that a 7 on 2 dice. That's the most likely thing to result off of it. And then I come off of it with, a 6 and an 8, a 5 and a 4. A 5 and a 9. Now I go to 10. I leave a space because alpha and 7, 6, 5. Yeah, 4 is the empty spot. Gamma and alpha are essentially the same. So I'm moving them out to, what did we say, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 3. That leaves me with some numbers that I haven't allocated. In particular, that 4 empty slot, I'm making my central piece even more important. I think, a 7 comes up 1/6 of the time. I think that's too little. With 4 players, it could well just not show up if that's the case. But I'm also weighting these two with the 2 and the 12 space. So we take a look at player blue, who will be my first player. And I could be using colors to align with the cards instead. And he'll roll his first set of dice. He gets a 6. That's going to put me here. So I'll put one of the blue chips there on Paradise City. Now nobody knows that he's done this. They're all selecting secretly, and I pick the other one. And what happens if I roll a 6 again? I don't know. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 maybe. I don't know. If you double up on the same space. Okay, so now we do the same thing for the next player. And this is just me finding a 4 means that he's going to also go in on this one. And another 4 means that I get to test that theory out. He's going to place here. Okay. Third player rolls an 8. That'll get me over here. And another 8. Test that out again. I didn't have this problem before. He's going to go into the Android Amusement Park too. For whatever reason, people think that's important. And again, this kind of thing, everybody could say, geez, everybody's going to go for that. Fuck it. I won't go for it. It could end up completely empty, which is why I feel like this dice system actually works pretty well for something. 7, 6, 5 in there. And a 3. 3 puts me way over on Mining Alpha. I have no idea why he chose that. Again, I think that that's just a bad choice. You can almost certainly get it for free anyway. Is there any reason? Well, I don't know. I mean, at least it's these two companies. It's an interesting tile. Maybe there's some reason that I'm not really thinking of. And, it may be slightly better than this one. Of course, I balance them the same. So what happens? Well, brown gets this just for free. Up there. There's no competition there. Now I come, and these are not allocated. These are not allocated yet. They could be. Let's just do them. Get them out of my way. So purple gets the infrastructure push one. And oh, nobody went there. That's actually open. That's kind of interesting. That's a pretty good one. Blue gets Paradise City. Okay, sweet. Okay, so the first one that has to be allocated is this one. And we've got 3 people involved in it. I'm going to order their bids. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yellow will go first on bidding, then purple, then brown. Completely randomized the order of bidding. Yellow has the option of, do I want this? Now, they already know what the selections are. One thing that they know is if they drop out whatever they pick, someone else will get a pick at the same time. Yeah, because only one person can get this, and there's 3 people involved in it. Which means I'm not guaranteed to get the Robot Factory, but I may be, well, no, I'm not guaranteed to get either of those. I may get bailed out if I fail the bidding on that. On, let's say I go for Robot Factory, and I may end up at Mining Area Gamma as my selection. So the fact that there's 3 people in it factors into this a little bit. The amusement park's not a bad tile. It's not a fantastic tile. I do know that I'm going to be bidding on that, presumably, because I don't want to give it to blue for cheap. So, let me think. I'm going to go on a 1 through 4. I put a bid in. I choose not to. I have dropped out. I'm going to put my token here because things aren't resolved. On to purple. Purple has nothing else they're bidding on. What have I gotten already? I've gotten the infrastructure push. It doesn't really impact this much. I'm going to say odds I bid on it. Again, I'm saying I'm throwing $5 in. It almost seems like that $5 is almost a certain, you know what? I'm going to put this back here. All right, I went with 1 through 4. Now I'm going to go for an odds to go in. And this is what I did last time. I rolled 2 dice to make sure somebody dropped out. Because, yeah, this first one, you know, you're saying I'll bid $5. This is definitely worth $5 more than secondary choices. Screw it. It's worth the pay. Now, there is a problem with that. The $240 you start with in the 4-player game is a nice amount of money. 240 means 3 shares at 80 or 4 shares at 60. Now I've skewed that with this $5 bid. I'm not going to go for higher bids because I actually do believe that initial money is pretty important. So that puts me on purple. I'm going to roll 2 dice. Well, no. I'm going to roll a die. If it's odd, I definitely go with it. If not, I probably go on a 1 or 2 to $10. It is not odd. I drop out. Okay. That puts me on brown. Does brown want to go to the $10? Odd, yes. Brown goes to the $10. So he's still in. That means yellow is sitting here with a chance to go up to $15. And I could bid larger amounts. I'm going to keep it to multiples of 5 no matter what, but anyway. Let's keep going with just a single odd roll. We go ahead, so we go up to $15. Now, we're starting to get to a high price for this token. I'm going to go to only a 1 or a 2 for brown to go up to $20. He does not. He pulls out, and that means this chip goes here, and the yellow player pays $15 to get this card, and its a little bonus along with it. Okay, these 2 are both in place. Now, they shouldn't collude or anything like that. They have to secretly determine who goes where. I I don't think anybody particularly wants Gamma. I'm not even going to include it in the basis. It's the Robot Factory versus the Prototype. I think the Robot Factory is better, so on a 1 through 4, I'm going to have each of them on the Robot Factory. Brown first. Brown goes into the Robot Factory. Purple goes into the Robot Factory. Okay. That means they may not get the Prototype Hyperdrive because, and they likely won't, because whoever loses this will probably get that. I'm not thrilled with the Hyperdrive. It does give you like the chance to get one decent extra run, especially if you have multiple companies, but it doesn't really intrigue me as that powerful a card. The Government Decision, on the other hand, is an incredibly powerful one. So let's see who goes first, blue or yellow. We're going to say yellow is forced to make the bid first. Now, yellow has to worry. I probably want at least $200 to buy shares of something. I don't have to, but it's a good idea to put a decent amount of money in your company to start with so that it can lay track and stuff. I mean, I could conceivably buy only 3 shares of something at $150, and still do that. But I don't think any of these are worth a huge amount of cash. And he's already paid a lot for one of them. I'm going to put an odd, on a die roll of odd, he wants to jumpstart the bid. This one I believe is quite important. He is going to jumpstart the bid. I'm going to make that 1, 2, 3, well, so jumpstart means I'm not going to be bidding 5 on it. So we're going to say 10, 15. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4 is 10 or 15. 5 or 6 will be 20 or 25. I'm going to go straight up with a $20 bid on this. Remember, I wanted to keep at least that $200. Now you could say, well, why didn't I go to 25? I don't know. This puts it on blue. Blue's got kind of a tight pick here. I've got the Paradise City. What do I want to go with? I'd say a 1 or a 2. I maybe go to the 25. That would leave me with 215. 210 allows me to start at 70 with 3 shares. A 1 or a 2, I'm interested in bidding higher than yellow. I'm interested in bidding higher than yellow. So here's the question. Yellow's already bid 20. 25 would be my next bid. 30 would allow me to get to 210. I'm going to go odd even on those. I go to the $30 bid. Okay. Yellow probably does not want to pay $30. Well, 35 actually. On a 1, I will consider it and see if it's feasible. It is not feasible. So, yellow withdraws from this. They're going to grab the Prototype Hyperdrive. Blue gets this for a fortune. Was it worth this much? Only time will tell. More than that, my last game, as exciting as that looked, the ability to knock someone out, whatever, it didn't actually pay off that well because they ended up just kind of doing it with a second company that they owned, but we'll see. Yellow picked this. That means they get this and don't have to worry any further. Okay, so we've gotten 2 players completely assigned, and now the question is, who gets the Robot Factory and who gets stuck with Mining Area Gamma? I am almost certain, well, let's see what we roll here. Odd, it's brown. Okay, brown gets first bid. There's almost no chance that I'm going to go for only, that it's going to go for nothing. Then I'm going to withdraw. I've already got 1 mining area. I don't want 2 of them. That happened in my last game, and that is just not particularly attractive. So I've got a $5 minimum here. Do I want to jumpstart that? Odd, I do. I do not, so I'll go to $5. Question is, this guy with the infrastructure push, Did I get that for free? I got that for free, which means I have money to play with. Let's see. I'm going to go the double odds route. Okay, I got an odd, so I'm going to be in there. On a 1 or a 2, I'll jumpstart it, but the fact that he went with a $5 bid makes me think he's not really that excited. So I'll just go to 10. That puts it on him. He'll just go to odd with this. He does not. He pulls out and gets the mining area and nothing but. Interesting. And that means purple has to pay 10 to get the robot factory over here. Okay, so that's step 1 of the sequence. At this point, we slip into what really is the first stock round. That was the stock auction. I've got some dice that I don't need lying around. I'll keep 2 colored dice around just in case. And now we figure out who goes where. Okay, this is by turn order. We've got a 5, a 14, a 5, and a 12. 2 5s. This one's the lower 5. He'll go first. He'll go second. What did we have otherwise? 14 and 12. 12, 14. He's interested in some place next to a boinker. I'm going to zone out on the map a little bit and try to figure out which one looks most appealing to me. One of my problems here, I have $225. 4 times is not interesting. That would be $50. 3 would be $70, and that is probably the best I can do. The 225 means I'm not high enough to go to that. So I'll be starting at $70 a share. Decision that I like the NACCO company starting location the best. It's right here. It connects up easily to this, and this dot is connected close to that. I've got cities here. Importantly, I'm not in a position where I'm competing with someone else directly right away, and other people may have trouble getting to my special location that I'm going to open up fairly quickly because it's worth a lot right away. So, at 70 a share, I buy the presidency. Remember, I can buy 2 certificates and a 10% share for my $210, and that actually goes in here. And now I can release up to 30% of my company to the open market. Because I want access to buy the shares without hurting my company, I'm going to put these 2 in for another $210. And that gives me, oh, I don't actually need to buy, I don't need to buy that. I only need to get them to 50%, so I'm only going to put 2 in. And that's $140, make it $150. And no, I didn't make a mistake on that when I played before either. However, I sold a certificate, which drops my value down to 55 immediately. I have taken an action. I'm going to rotate this to remind me that I've taken that action. Otherwise, because there's no clear, it's not an easy going around the table ordering, I won't really remember what's going on. And I use the cards for passing as well. That brings me to player 2. Player 2's interest is, hey, I'm near 2 different mining areas, which I might want to open up. This one looks pretty unimportant, but this one doesn't look too bad. I think I'm going to start off with a company near there. This flips over because I floated it. And I'll go with the yellow one because it's a little easier to see than the black one. The black one, I got that little piece of tape instead of an X on it. What can I start it at? Well, I have $240. that gets me two interesting positions. Personally, buying 4 shares is really cool because you make more cash off of it. But your company is healthier if you only buy 3 shares. Of course, on the other hand, buying 4 shares means you can buy 2 20% shares right off the bat, and you're not stuck with a 10% share that can cause you problems. So it's kind of an interesting question for me. I'm actually going to go for the 2 20% shares on a 1 through 4, and on a 5 or a 6, I'll go for the more expensive $80 shares. I got a 4, so I'm going to set this sucker at 60. One problem with this is we're fighting over this space. If somebody really wants the black piece, and there's no real reason right now, they could buy it and position me in a stupid direction. But the stupidest direction they can position me is into the place that I'm safe on. So I feel a little safer than people normally would in being in that position. So I am going to buy that company. I'll slide them down here, put this token up here to indicate that it's happening, and I will buy 40%. That's the $240, goes right in. Yeah, I got some filth on everything. Mainly dust from the tobacco. And I will release another $60 share into there. That, of course, drops the stock value immediately. It's hard to operate these. They're very slick. $60, make it 75, 100, and I put it in already, and that drops its stock value, and he also has gone. We find player 3. What's up with player 3? Player 3 has Paradise City. Paradise City is cool. It's gonna allow me to create extra money right away if I want to. Of course, it does create 15 bucks a round, so you know, that's good money. Government decision, I'm probably not going to want to play that until late in the game, so that's going to produce me a lot of straight up capital. Let me look at the board again and try to think of where I really want to be. I only have 210 bucks. That's going to be starting at that 70 level again. It's kind of a hard decision where you want to start. I gotta say that much. So I could start off on my own, where I can take advantage of my Paradise City, but that might make it not that great a start compared to if people start near each other. Right? So far we've got 2 people off on their own, but if 2 people are close to each other, they're going to be able to get that additional, maybe tokens that add to the value of the colonies. And there's reasons to cluster around other people. On the other hand, like this guy who kind of wanted to be on his own, well, there's reasons not to as well. I think what I'm going to do is the most attractive to me is actually this blue space. It's near 2 other players. Yes, that limits perhaps some of my track lays, but there are a lot of cities within close reach, and I think I can do some cool stuff with that. Starting capital, etc., I'm in exactly the same position as green is in. I threw a 20% share out there again because it makes it a more attractive thing. The disadvantage to starting with only 3 shares, of course, is I've got this 10% share in my hand. And there's no easy way to get rid of that unless I drive my company to where it's an undesirable company. I should probably put these shares up here. And now I'm on the final player. And basically everybody spent their entire wad, so we'll just be passing right after this. The final player has the Robot Factory, which again is something that could help people near me. The infrastructure push, less interested in being near other people than government decision. Government decision gives me kind of a free pass on that, doesn't it? I only have 230 bucks. Not a perfect amount. 230 means I've got the 210 at 3 shares. My 4 share would be only 200. Yeah, there's no real in between. I really don't like the idea of starting that low, but I'll take a chance to see if I allow it. On a 6, I'll allow it. I don't get a 6. Again, I think starting at the very low end without a really good reason is probably not wise. So we're probably starting at the 70 again, but I don't know who I'm going to buy. Okay, and again, the same positioning as the other people who bought 30% shares. Yeah, I should have done this when I had 2 hands. 50, 60, 70, 100. Great. Okay. So everybody's starting there. I picked this one to be my starting company because I can maybe cooperate with yellow there and maybe play in the backfields with my robot factory or whatever. Without being right dab in the middle of everybody's shit. So we've ended up with kind of a nice spacing, even though some people played not particularly for that. And there's no reason for you to particularly do so. So for example, going last means I do not want to have this space. But if I had more cash, it might be attractive to me to control that space. Likewise, I don't really want to be right on somebody. Let me accomplish some things. So that's him. Essentially, nobody has enough money to do anything. You're not allowed. There's really nothing worth doing. So everybody's going to pass. I'm not even sure if you're allowed to sell shares the turn you buy them. Generally in XX you aren't, but I don't remember the turn you float a company. There was some kind of restriction. You can't buy a second presidency. That's the weird thing. Okay. So now we figure out who gets what. Well, the person with the most money gets the 1 ticket. I have to keep this here, though, to remind me how bad he is. Don't I? No. He's already selected. The next most money, whoops, gets the 2 ticket. And now, since he was a 1 or a 2, he gets the 3 ticket because he went earlier than this guy. Both are out of money. How much does that matter? Probably not a whole lot. We're probably going to see more shaking happening from other things, like me bumping the table. Okay. So we go to the first operating round for the first company, and nobody's sold out. Everybody's dropped their values for putting 1 certificate in the thing. Green is my first company out there. It's over here. What am I doing? Well, I want to hook this up, I guess. Note that although this looks like it's right next to that, those dots are coming out this side. The connection here is flat. That is the only place I have. This can be a free action, so I assume it doesn't cost me anything of any type. So I'm going to spend 15 bucks to buy myself some track. Since I don't have a city connecting here directly, and there is one here and here, I think what I'm going to do, and there's a number of reasons for this, is I'm going to play me a tight little, turn here as my first track lay. Now that cost me 10 bucks, which I've already paid, I think. I hope. I had like $3.50, so yeah. Now I can buy 1 or 2 trains. I definitely need to buy 1. I'm going to have a run next time, but I'm actually going to have 2 runs because I'm going to charge this up. So I'm going to spend 160 bucks to buy myself a pair of choo-choos. And I'll take care of that with hands. I had my run first, so So I'm back there. Okay. Technically, if somehow yellow could stay in this space, and they can't, I am under them, but there's games that allow you to stay in the same space cause problems with that. Okay, so I've laid my first track. That is the first company. I don't think there's anything else that I can do. In order to check, I find myself, because this game does break some of my expectations. I could have sold stock, but again, I mean, I could have traded this in. Oh shit, I forgot to give my money out. Okay, so everybody at the beginning of the operating round got some cash. He got 25 bucks. He got 10. I'm assuming their gender here. Another 25 bucker. And a 15. Okay. But I don't want to play that yet. I want to collect my money next turn before I lay down the track that's going to start making me my bigger money. Early money is, of course, always important, especially if you end up spending too much on your initial purchases. Okay, over to the blue company, which is over here. Well, I can't go into mining area alpha right off the bat, and that's kind of a problem. This is why blue's not that great. I'd have to go through this doink. That's not terribly attractive. I'm going to make an assumption about this. And I am going to spend my 10 bucks. And I too am going to grab a sharp turn. Unfortunately, I can't count on being able to build two playable tracks next turn. So I am just going to buy myself one of those 2 trains, which most people do, because there's no track already on the board like there would be in 1830. Yes, maybe I want to get a jump on the 2 trains and make sure that I have more than one. But I've got enough cash to buy a 3 train, and maybe it's okay to do it that way, you know? Yeah. I do not want to cash this in or anything tricky like that. We laid our track, we bought our train. Hey, I'm screwing up. This goes on top of that, which is actually under. And now, because they're upside down, we go to this guy. Okay. I've got a potential problem. Luckily, I go before yellow, so I can afford to connect up to this track. All things considered, if I want to run 2 trains, I am going to want a wide curve. If I'm going to run down here instead, I may want to go in a different direction. Hard to tell, but I think I'll go with the wide curve track. Again, these are decisions that I am not terribly thrilled making. But that costs me 10 bucks. I mean, I'm never thrilled making them. I hate making decisions. Technically, this actually moves right now to there. And I gotta buy a train. Again, I'm only gonna buy one because I am a cautious person. And that brings me to the last company, which is the yellow, which is sitting here. Now, yellow has a problem. I am beaten out into this hex and may not be able to hook up. I have these. I could use them, but I don't particularly want to. These are UUs from 1830 terminology. So they only have a single location on them. How do I want to place my oo track? Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. I'm gonna play this like this. It's not a terrible play for the black player, but I don't know. And I have a lot of money on there. Why? Why am I at this amount of money? It's an interesting amount. I have bought 5 shares at 6,300. That makes sense. So I gotta spend 10 bucks for my 75, 85, 90 for my track lay that I just put down. I'm not using either of those right now. Maybe at some point. And I can only really run one train in the near future. And in fact, I've got kind of a problem because I'm going to be heading into a doink there. So I can't afford to go into here because he could cut me off, and that would suck. So I too am going to spend 80 bucks on a single chew. I feel like this game, the way the tracks are, almost invariably sets you up in a situation where no one can really rush the 2 trains out. And my price goes down to there. That's the end of the first operating round. So we push to the next one. I hand out cash for everyone. In the intro video, there was a word I was searching for. It was emergent. What did you rely upon? I don't know. Emergent conditions, scenarios sort of that come out of the game that are somewhat surprising. Not the expected stuff that comes out of an 18XX usually. We'll see if anything comes out, and I'll try to point it out. So I handed out the cash for the permits, and now red is up. That can't be right. We flip these counters over to their X side. Okay, can't do it with one hand. They're too small. The red that is green is up. He's over here. I am going to take advantage of a couple of things. One is there is absolutely no reason for me to place. For me to not go down, I think. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to place this here. That's completely free. But, except for it kills this. And that's 5 bucks a round that I'm not going to get anymore. And it's some money that I could have sold it for, but it's too valuable a piece. And then the other thing is, I spend 10 bucks to lay myself a piece of track here. And what I really want is another sharp corner, but I bet you there isn't one because a couple of them have been played. Oh, there is. Awesome. This goes here. Now, I'm not allowed to drop a token yet, but I've got 2 trains that I'm running across. And I run at 10 plus my colony, 20, plus 30 is 50, and 20 is 70, 80. So green has an 8 buck a share run, and I will pay that out. 8 is not 3 times 50, or 80 is not 3 times 50, so I don't go forward twice. I will be paying out 8 bucks a share, and I'll distribute that. Most of it goes into the company treasury. The 20% there goes nowhere. Mental burdens of this game: having to pay for every track lay. Did I pay that 10 bucks? I don't fucking know. I'm serious. I do not know. And I'm constantly finding myself in that position. I think I did, but I can't be sure. I could calculate it out. I started out at 210 at 350, I think, cash. I don't know. Is that right? 350. I paid 160, which drops me to 190. I dropped 20 bucks in stuff. That drops me to 170. And then I got 5 times 8 is 40. That sounds like 210. It looks like I'm all right, but I really hate, it's one thing to have to pay to enter a specific hex or something. That's easy to remember. But man, when you got to pay on every tile, on every track lay, it's hard to remember because, again, it's just not what you're used to doing. Okay, where are we? Do I want more trains? So, no, I don't think so. Right now I'm set up to make this $8 a share for a while. I certainly don't want another 2. And do I want a token? I could token this, but again, with only 2 trains, I'm just increasing my value by a little bit. What I might want is a token up here once green comes up, or here, or something like that, because then I can hit this twice. And that's better than what I have set up. But and I could have set that up so that I go right down, but I would rather get my tokens getting me deeper control on the map, because I can avoid this city at some point. So we're on the blue company. Well, the best thing the blue company can do is they spend their 10 bucks to get a wide curve to get me right in and join in the fun. Right there. I spent the 10 bucks, I think. Again, being on video makes it even harder. I'd gotten kind of used to doing this without the video. I have the option I could create Paradise City. With me just running around one train, not too exciting. With me running 2 trains, if I buy another deuce, then maybe it's more interesting. Although I would really like to get the 3. But making the center of my current operations into Paradise City might be worth doing. But I don't do that yet. Right now I got to figure out my run, and my run is 20 and 30. Is a 5 run. I will of course pay that out and hand that cash out, which will be 15 to my pocket and 25 to the company. The thing is, this produces 15 a turn from my pocket. If I put this into the company treasury, I would be getting an extra $1 right now. $2 if I hook up another train. But I would be getting an extra $1 a share. So it's 5 more bucks here and 3 for me. So we're looking at like $8 that's going into stuff that I care about. At this point. Next turn, if I'm hitting 2 cities, which was my intention, I buy another train. Now I'm hitting 2 cities next turn. If I play it next turn, I'm making 16 bucks between the 2. Well, interesting. Could I afford a 3rd train? Here's the problem. This goes into there. So I'd be going here, I'd be going here, and I have no use for the 3rd train anyway next turn. I'm going to hold off on that. I might end up wanting it. But right now, no. The 3 train is interesting though, because I could run down to here, I could run here, and maybe up here, or something along those lines. And so there are, potential values to that. But all I want it right now is the second 2 train. I've run, and now we're on the red player. The red player, well, yellow went this way. That means that I'm less committed to heading into here. That's kind of a dead end right now. I've got a use for a 3 train. Yeah, okay. So I don't know what I want to do, but I'm going to pay my $10 to build my track. And I am going to take one of these wide guys here. Do I want the Robot Factory yet? It's making $10 a share in my pocket. Right now, if I played it, it would be making me 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. $8 again, up to 16 next time. A more interesting proposal than the 16 for him. I certainly don't want to play it now. It's giving me cash that I can use to invest in another share right away. So, you know. So I laid this down. I probably don't want to lay a token there again. It could increase my immediate cash, but not this turn, next turn, right? I've got my run, and this is the usual run. I am $3 a share, sounding like the pen here. Obviously, I pay that shit out. No way you swallow something that garbage. And I get the cash into hand. Well, buy me another train, though. $140 gets me a 3 train. Now, that's just opened up the greens. And there's not really a hell of a lot else that comes out from that. And it opens me up the capacity. I'll go into here. Next time I'll be running 2 different trains, maybe with the bonus. But it gets me the capacity to run, you know, a 3 train between here and here and a 2 train between there and there. And start paying out like some of the other players are. So that's kind of sweet. I think that's it. Which puts me onto the yellow player. The yellow player is not thrilled. Well, the interesting thing is I'll be able to upgrade next turn. I might curve down to here if I had someplace I really wanted to lay it, but I don't think I do. I think instead what I want to do, I mean, I don't really care right now. I think what I want to do is I'm going to go over towards there because that looks open to me right now. So I could get either a wide or a straight. The real question here is, do I want to deprive everybody of the wide curves? Do I care? I have no need of one, so I'm going to pay my $10 to go this way, and that'll hook up down there. Okay. I'm not going to buy anything special. I'm not going to buy a train. I'm not going to do anything whatsoever. If I bought a 3 train, I could run a little further, but you know, not today. That means I run again for 2, 3 a share, and again pay that sucker out. Pushes us up to the stock round. I think I gotta swap batteries. What do I want to do with my newfound wealth? I mean, I could dump a share of this and see what happens, because nobody's capable of really buying it out. It would be $110 to buy 2 shares. A third share would put someone, well, no, it would be $150 to buy 3 shares. Nobody's got that kind of cash. So I could actually cycle this out of my hand. And it's not that, well, it's not a bad company is the problem. It's going to make decent money. Otherwise, though, I can buy a share from anything. But just 1 share. Getting rid of this is somewhat appealing with the idea of, I could hold 40% of a company. You know, I could hold my 60% in 3 red shares, and I could get away with it at this point. do I care about the order in which I play? Not particularly. So I'm going to roll a die on that, because getting rid of that 10% share may seem like a really good idea. I'll say odds I try it. Okay. So I'm going to sell a share of my stock. I get $55. These are all face up now. Shit. These tiny little pieces on a slip card. Okay. So I get $55 in cash. And now I'm allowed to buy 2 certificates. Now, my reading is I can buy them from 2 different corporate 2 different corporate, I don't know, stacks of stocks, whatever the fuck they're called. I mean, when I say it's the IPO, but who knows what it is. And I actually have a fair amount of money, so let me take a look at what's worth buying. Greens are definitely worth buying. They make good money, right? Everybody except yellow. Okay, so I'm going to spend $55. I'm going to put this in the company treasury because that's the dickier thing to do. And take this here. And I'm going to do the same to blue, which means I get $20 back and a blue share from here. There's no way to get shares back into the company treasuries, so I'm being an asshole. Notice I was able to buy 2 different certificates. The way the rules are specifically written, I may have only been allowed to buy 1 from one or 2 from one company, which you definitely don't want to do. I mean, somebody will overheat their company and make money off of it and maybe dump it on you. So that doesn't seem like a wise idea. So now I go to player 2. He's in the same damn position. Damn 10% share. Well, if you're going to be clever, asshole, odds I'll follow suit. Yeah, what the hell? Okay. And this is all trying to avoid having only 50% of your company. So that's $55 I get as well. Yeah, I have money. I can buy things. And now there's cheaper shares I can buy. Red looks okay. Red's $50. Hey, thanks, buddy. Great idea. And here you go, asshole. Okay, and this is the people with 10% with the 30% shares who are in this game. He's not in it. He doesn't care. So that's player 2. Okay, and I got to remember what people sold. They sold their own shares. That puts me over to blue. Fine. This is such an asshole thing to do, but I think it's actually what we want to do. With 2 people doing it, only on a 6 am I going to avoid it. It just seems like such a dicky move. So we 2. Now, here's what's weird. I could lose positioning because of this. Because notice, red went first. They were at the bottom, I think. And now green has moved to the middle. And now blue is going to move below them both. But it doesn't really matter, I say. Because I'm not really thinking carefully. Why doesn't it matter? Normally in XX, you're going to sell out your shares. It's not a guarantee in this game at all. So you may not make out those ranges. And this may end up costing you stock value for the long run. Okay. But if everybody's going to be a dick, I'm going to be a dick too, right? Green has 2 trains. And red has 2 trains. And this is going to completely skew the game from the last time I played it, where almost all of the shares stayed within the corporate treasuries, because there was no real reason to invest in people. But now we've seen this weirdness happen. That's the end of... Actually, I should have been over here. Let me see what he has. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He's not interested in this game. He would have passed already. That goes back to here. And now we swing around. And I mean, people could still start jerking stocks around. Nobody wants to. Nothing's going up. And we hit down to the first operating round. But before we do that, we got to take a look at the cash holdings that the different players have. So, I hope this is over here. Pretty sure it is. I just threw a bunch of cash out of him. Okay. So he's at 32. He's got the most money. He'll get card 1. Okay. Looks like that's card 2. Card 3. Card 4. And I'm going to put some dice, if I can find my other die, there it is, up here to remind me that it's time to start on the operating round. I'm going to play at least one more cycle on this video. Maybe clean up some of these piles of cash. But yeah, now there's a lot more money in the companies, but their health is a lot worse through that manipulation. And yellow has come out ahead through all of that. But the thing is, once one person starts screwing around with stuff like that, it becomes, you know, almost suicidal for him not to do it. You know? Weird little second stock round we just had where everybody dumped their third share and bought 2 shares of the other companies out of the company treasuries. That was just odd, but honestly, it would never happen in a normal game, because in a game where you didn't have these 20% shares sitting around and wanted to optimize them. It wouldn't happen in a game of 1835 either, because it's not just the fact that there's 20% shares, but it's that you have this 60% limit and you're never going to be able to fix that share. This was the one time to do it, and it just seemed like such a brilliant thing to do at this point. Maybe it needs sort of a, I don't know. So it's not that horrible a thing that it happened, but it did hurt these companies. Red ends up laying this track. This is kind of interesting. I control both the openings. This hex go connects in both cases to this. So that's another weirdness in this game, is that you can like connect between 2 hexes in multiple ways, where there's the between tile placements. Paid out a big 6 around. I don't want to play the robot factory because I only got 2 shares of this, and I don't have a whole hell of a lot in here. Those actions that were taken changed the dynamics on how much I want to play my permits, and $10 a round is worth more than increasing my cash a little bit. I'm going to probably back away a little bit. I was intending, or I sort of did so there and just played it out instead of on video, because not that much exciting's happening. We're just going to start seeing track develop now. Another decision point. Green, you know, I am playtesting, so I want to catch a little bit more than maybe I would normally do, and I gotta remember that. Green ended up opening up their hex so that they could make more money, upgrading it, and pushing to get to a 3rd place. So now they're going to be running 3 separate trains. That's sweet. That's going to make them more money. They made a 10 run. That put me to blue. Blue opened this up. Kind of iffy because they have to pay to lay the track, and there might be better things to do to buy this. Now, this would be different if the token placement were different. Now, let's look. I have the T thing. I could hugely benefit this with the T thing. Again, I don't want to do that because I don't have many shares in my stock, but it may mean that this, because it's getting built up, should be my T location. Might end up doing it here, but those are basically my two choices. I'm going to drop the dot there because now that allows me to run 3 trains next time, and it increases the value of this. Now what's kind of weird here is I've just increased the value for his run next, not for my own, and obviously now I have to buy a train. Here's where things feel really screwy with the board connection. I see this running off this way and I feel like it should connect there, and it doesn't. It connects to there. And that's somewhat problematic. I was hoping to link up, open this up, put a dot there, and then, you know, run in this richer area down here, but that's not going to be available to me. It was my immediate thought. I started laying the track for it, and I'm like, no. And, oh, here, I put the $10 aside. I did that with green, forgot to clean it up. I hope I paid blues money. Again, the pay per... If you didn't see me pay it, I didn't do it. I'm pretty sure of that. And I'm not going to be able to calculate that amount, which is a problem. I'm going to consistently fail to pay that $10, and I feel like in an opposed game or something, you probably need a couple eagle-eyed people to watch other people make sure they pay their $10 to lay their track, because otherwise, people are going to miss it. It's really easy to miss when you have to do it every single time. It may seem odd, but it's because it's different from how XX usually works. Usually you do not have to pay track. And the same issue happened with 21 Moon. It's just, you know, when you start breaking the expectations, even though it might make a game that expresses something that's very different and very interesting, you put a burden on the players, and there's a lot of those kinds of things in these designs by this particular designer, because he is stretching, he's pushing the envelope on certain things that are core to the system. You know, the lay a track, drop a token, you know, that kind of thing. It's just, it's not the way it works. So you may see me make mistakes like that and occasionally give somebody too much, give somebody extra money by default. So yeah, I don't know what to do with yellow at this point. I'm stuck with a 2 train, and that's fine right now. I think I want to expand this, but here's the problem. If I expand going down to here, red could screw me. So I think I have to go up this way instead, because I will be going after red unless I had a huge run, which I'm not going to have. I'm going to have a crappy run. To the track choice thing, because I think it's particularly weird. So there's a fair amount of oohs I can't play because I want to play a wide curve going there. The question is which one. There are 4 choices here. First choice that I'm going to make is, and this only disallows none of them. Oddly enough, that's really weird. Is there an ooh on the board yet? No. So there is not one that has a wide single curve. Again, you know, you're expecting there will be certain tokens, and they just don't exist. But I don't want a wide, well, there's this and this. I don't want a wide, oh, okay, they all have a wide. Oh, no. Yeah, no, that's a wide double curve. Okay, I don't want the wide single curve for my own company. Normally you would. Why? Because, hey, I control this space. You know, nobody can get through it. But because your colony will increase in value if somebody else drops a dot in it, you actually want the more open one. Which then means I'll be looking at, this is an option. Not all of them are options, of course. This one is not, because I can't preserve that tile, but I made a decision that I want to consider. This is an option, and this is an option. Which one do I like the best? How are these two different? They're the same tile. This is really weird, where there's like 2 of the same tile, but not other tiles you'd expect are there. So I'll throw one of these away because they're the same thing. So the question becomes, do I want to drive black up into a doinker, which is kind of dicky, or even better, to the mining area that I control. Definitely that latter. I've already paid the money or set it aside, so I'll do that. And so I got that laid down. I collected my income on a big 4 run. I'm gonna make crappy money with my 40% of my company if I don't buy another train. I'm the healthiest company in terms of, you know, where I'm gonna just generate money off my runs. So that's kind of pleasing because I didn't buy at 30%, ironically, and ended up, well, I ended up only putting a 10% instead of a 20% because of that in there, and nobody screwed with the value. So it's not actually ironic. It makes sense with the 10% versus the 20%. The other aspect is a little weird, but whatever, that came as an artifact. Didn't happen in my first play, but I learned enough about the game that I'm like, I really don't want to be sitting there with 30% of a company. And there was nothing, nobody could take my company in any of these cases. Nobody had the cash on hand because they can't get rid of their 20% president certificate, obviously. Okay, so yeah, I do want to buy the train. I kind of like not being the person to buy that third train. Right now that's going to be him if everybody else buys it. Although, well, actually I'm buying my second train here. There's a couple of people with 3. So yeah, I'm going to be making shittier money than everyone else, but that's fine. Me to the second operating round. There was something I thought I wanted to say. I don't remember what. Okay. It's got the tricky tile placement situation here that I want to go into. I've already paid for my track placement. I've got a T2 and a T3. And to some extent what I'd love to do, and maybe it's the same value, so I don't know why I'm not, is to upgrade this. That adds 10 bucks. Being able to run my T3 as a 3 train adds 10 bucks. What I was thinking of, and I'm going to boff that and head this way instead, is that, hey, I'd like to place this piece. Well, I look at the choices of pieces. What I really want to do is place one that connects to here and here, but that one's already in use. And there is indeed only one of them. Whereas there's 2 of each of these. What's up with that? I don't know. It's interesting. But, you know, this piece screws this company over, sends it up so that its outlet is off to the other side of the board. And it's not terrible, but, you know, it's running into a doink. And I kind of wanted to screw it anyway, but I want to keep it on my board. So I'm going to try to figure out what I want to do with this, which is going to be a wide curve this way. They'll probably be crossing. And again, I'll want the 2 dot space as my own to allow more pieces to go in there. I may also be charging my robot factory in, although again, I've got a low number of shares. Only 50% of the company between me and the company. This may not be the time to get rid of that 10 bucks around. Paid, I hope. I think, I don't know. The camera really disturbs remembering to play that 10 buck, to pay that 10 buck thing was hard enough without the camera. With the camera, I'm adding another burden where I'm in here chattering instead of just focusing on the game. Blue added this space. Now this is interesting because I've got 3 trains running out of here, right? So I've got a 1, 2, and then the 3rd train here. I could have gone up here, could have improved this, but making this important, I'm making it more interesting to put the T here, but the problem is I put that there and I'm doing all the same favors for the green player. And at this point, I just don't think that's terribly worthwhile unless I'm getting a big bonus off of it. So let's see what I would be getting. I would be getting another 3 bucks a share because I've got 3 trains running out of that 1 space. 3 bucks a share would amount to 6 bucks for me, and 9, a total of 15. I'm producing 15 a round off of it anyway. It doesn't sound like it's worth it. It sounds like I'd rather pocket the money. So I'll leave that alone for another turn. If I was making the majority of that money or whatever, I might want to do it because it puts more cash in a company that's kind of cash poor. But again, I'd be helping him every bit as much. He's got 3 trains, all of which he can run out of the same space. Yeah, that's not great. The problem, of course, being that I couldn't distinguish between blue and green. And green is on top of blue. Damn it. We'll lay that same track. And one of the reasons for doing this is I'm trying to get over here where the robot factory is likely to be. Another valuable space. It's hard to tell. It could end up over on this tile, whatever. But, you know, instead of playing around down here where I'm pretty sure there's not much. So both players were interested in moving to that tile. Of course, this is the connection to this space, not to that space. Get a kind of nice run here. So this is worth 4, 5, 10, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Last time I played, it was a clear decision that you wanted to pay out all the time because you had a lot of shares in here. I still think there are enough that paying out makes sense. This comes out to 3 times 55 is 16 and a half a share, so I actually moved forward 2 spaces. At blue, and I gave them the $10 back, which they may not have spent. Their situation's a little interesting. Nobody's buying trains anymore, right? Because we've kind of got those optimal routes. We're looking at buying the last 3rd train, or 3 train. One of these guys might do it, but filling out to 4 trains, you had better have a really good setup to do that because you're going to get stuck with 2, 3 trains after that, and that is usually a problem. And in this game, it looks like it would be as well because they don't die until the 6, and they both, you know, you basically have to be able to buy your permanent train at that point. Remember, the 5 may not be permanent, so it's not that terrible. It's not like the 1830 dilemma with those. And 2, 3 trains can make you bunches of money, but I got a lot of rail right now. But they're cheap. Okay, so if I'm not going to be expanding my train capacity, right now I'm in perfect shape. 2, 2, 3. Yeah. Which means, hey, what? You know, do I have any token lays I want to play? It's kind of nice to leave your tokens open, but they do increase your revenue. How do I feel about the T? I'm in pretty much the same situation I was before. I can increase it $3 a round, you know, and that gets me the total of $15 between me and my company, but I also do increase him, and it just seems like I'd better off pocketing it still. Same concept as before. And I had that whole discussion when I thought it was their turn. But now the question is, where the hell do I want to go? And I mean, the only real thing I can do is upgrade tokens that I have elsewhere. Oh, there's one thing I could do. I could kick green out of here and throw them someplace else in order, you know, to make sure that I benefit off the T the better. And that's kind of an interesting idea because, you know, they built me all this nice track and fuck you, man, you're over here now. Might be interesting, not yet. So I'm going to hold on to things, and I think just spend money on upgrading something that I hit. I might as well make it, since I hit everything only once, I might as well make it my, am I doing things as wisely as I can? Maybe not. Hold on. So this is a nice location because it's 40. It's the best place on the board. But the question is, this is the next best place on the board at 30. And I'm only hitting it once, 1, 2, 3, which is kind of a shame. But I think hitting 43 times is worthwhile. But if I upgrade this, which I think is what I'll upgrade anyway, the dynamic becomes a little different. And why would I upgrade this? Well, because I've got my dot there. So I've got some control. So it's kind of a better place to make a good city out of early on. I'm not in good shape today. As I calculate out my run, I see it's 20 bucks, which means I added 10 more off the green. I think I owe an extra buck to everybody from green. I didn't count the token there, I'm guessing. Again, it's that there's this extra burden of stuff that you're not familiar with, even after playing it once and getting pretty familiar with it. The camera is throwing it off, early morning is throwing it off, whatever. Seriously considering buying another 3 train over here. Up that income some more. That changes the dynamic though. It's such a dangerous shakeup to buy that second 3 train. The reason I'm thinking of it is to try to give me a boost that makes me better than him. So right now I'm running 1, 2, 1, 2, and 3. I could be running 2, 2, 2, 1, 2, 3, and then, well, wait. 2, 2, 2, 2, 3, and 3, which would be a pretty good run. Assuming there's a green tile, there's still a butt plug available. I don't know if there is because I've got 2 of them on the board. It seems unlikely. No, there's not a piece of track that can get me right in there. So I think I'll let that be my deciding factor. And again, I paid out in a sense that got me the 20 bucks, which jumped me up to a 65 stock value. I think we're going to see a lot of shares shifting around as people can buy their second 20% of their own company. It's not a great idea to be holding your own companies on 20%. In this game, someone can take control of your company if that's the case. And we might actually see someone seize a company if they like someone else's company better than their own, right? So what could happen is you can't get rid of your own 20% share, but you can get rid of the 10% share you have. And if you have enough money to buy 40% of one of these, 250 something bucks or so. It doesn't look like anybody's going to have that. You could buy a 20% share, 20% shares, and because you only need, you can buy 2 certificates and grab the presidency of that company. Of course, you probably can't defend your own company anymore then, and somebody can grab it. But if your own company sucks and you're not thrilled with it, it might not be a bad idea to make that exchange. Of course, if you've been making early money off your company, well, maybe you start something new and end up with a better situation. Although you do let someone else hold 2 companies. What I got left is yellow here, and I got to swap batteries and stuff. Oh, yellow's in kind of a weird situation here. So I laid this track. That's going to let me run 2 chews this time. I run it for 11, paid it out. Only move forward 1 even though it's double the value. But, oh no, I'm not hooked up. I thought I was hooked up down here. Yeah. So I have no desire to place a dot anywhere, which I was considering doing. Yeah, this is really tough on me. But anyway, that's the end of the operating rounds. We're going to go to, I can kind of flip a stack of 2 with my fingers. Counters are so much easier. That pushes me back up to the stock round. I'll take care of that right quickly. We're at the interesting situation. This guy picked up, we'll call him yellow, because he has yellow. He used his extra cash to pick up an extra certificate. No big deal there. Rotated to remind me he's taken his action. We come to player 2, and he actually is sitting on the functionality to be able to grab one of either the green or the blue company. Now, what happens if he does so? Let's say I cash this in and end up, well, if I end up with 50%, I'm done. So yeah, I can't turn this in though. So all I've got is one share I can turn in. So at 65 bucks, I can get up to 215. 215 is not going to buy me 4 shares of any company. So I probably want to protect my own company from next turn. So that's 120. I have that kind of cash on hand. I'm still in some danger. Should I get rid of one of these? No, because I don't think somebody's going to take one of my companies badly enough. And I don't want the extra 10% share if I can hold it. But it would be possible for one of these guys to grab the red company. So I may hold that idea in the back of my head, but I'm not worried about protecting my company the way some of the others are. Now, here's the problem. The guys who did the 30% who have decent companies, if they want to get to the 60%, 50%, they have to buy a 10% share. If they want to go to 60%, they have to dig into here. So they may not gain the bonuses that they were hoping for. In particular, Blue is worried he'll lose his company. Now, he's running it pretty hard. And that may be a reason why somebody doesn't want to steal it. 130 bucks will buy me that 2 share and leave me with no cash. If I sell both of these shares, I have another 125. That would be enough for me to buy the 2-point share out of here. But that leaves me with only 10% share of my company. I don't know how I feel. Odds I'm going to play it what I call safe and make sure I own my company. But I don't know if that's wise, because that's going to almost ensure that I have to swallow with that company fairly often. No, I'm going to just hold on to my mixed offering of holdings. Is yellow really better than red? I'm not convinced of that. Red made less money, but I'm not sure they're going to continue making less money. To make me feel a whole lot safer, I have 40% of the company. That means there's only one 20% share. Nobody can get to 50% with just one 20% share. They have to be able to buy 2 at once. So holding the 2 20% shares is a fairly safe way, as long as nobody goes to 20%. If somebody goes to 20%, they can pass you at that point. But anybody holding a 20% share is asking to get hurt. Remarkably looks like groupthink with 40% in each of the guys, in everybody's hands now. But with the bonus that the people who started with 30% of their companies have an extra share over the guy who started with more shares at a lower value. Do they? Yes, because he's got his 40% too. Now, more of that has to do with what kind of run this was able to set up than anything else. He had the money. Doesn't look like he had the money. I was going to say he had the money for another train. He had enough money if he wanted to buy another 2 train early on to be in the same position as some of the richer companies. Oh, that's why this one's not doing so well, because it is only running 2 trains, but yellow is no better. Okay. I don't think anybody wants to pick anything up, so now we do the shift of the markers, and it looks like these two have the same amount of money. He gets to hold his 1, he'll get to hold his 4, and these guys stay in the same position. So stock round ends with everybody having the same value. There's nothing that's sold out. It's very rare for things to be sold out. Basically, somebody has to be willing to hold a 20% share, and that means you're at the end of the game and the company can't possibly be dropped by the opponent simply because it's just too valuable to them. They would hurt themselves more than they're hurting you, and maybe care less about you, even if they'd be hurting themselves more than they'd be hurting the leader. You can't make that kind of judgment at this point in the game, so there's no way that any company will be sold out at this point easily. So let me put a proviso on that. Part of that is because I'm uncomfortable with what it means, where my share where my priority is. I don't understand that completely. Okay, I understand it in terms of how the rules operate and everything, but I haven't internalized it, and I don't know if it's possible to the point where I can look at something and say, yeah, I'm safe buying this. I'll be able to tell where my priority position is, and I'll just know. You know, certainly you could make that evaluation if you're given another option to buy and sell, which you know you will be, but without it following the normal pacing, that puts an additional inhibitor, which is to say, I've got this extra mental effort to figure out, do I have priority on someone? Will I? You know, if I'm sitting to the left of someone, and is that the right term? Let me think. If it's running clockwise, if I'm sitting to the right of someone in a normal 18xx game, in 1830, almost all of them, there are a few others that have some mixed up priority issues. I can just say, yep, I'm going to hold multiple shares of your company, and if I'm going to hand you priority, I have to keep in mind that I've got to dump the company. If I'm sitting to your left, in a normal game, not mine where everything's opposite, then I'm almost certain not to buy that second share unless I'm in the position I'm in here where where I make the decision here where, yes, I can hold 2 shares of that company. But if priority is going to move around based on the amount of cash that I'm holding at the end of the stock round, man, that's a burden that I have to recalculate every single time I take my action, my buy or sell action. And that's something that's not worth doing, in my opinion. You know, so I'd rather not hold 20% of your shares because the mental cost is just going to be too high each time. Anyway, that is the end of this cycle. I always see the stock round as important to do because I understand these numbers. These numbers are not really meaningful in and of themselves. So for example, yellow and red, there looks like there's a big separation. You should buy yellow. Well, I didn't understand that red just bought a train or something along that lines, or just opened up more of their realm. Both of them are in kind of segmented, cut off areas of the board. This is their own fault, obviously. To some extent, they could have played in with other people, but they might have lost the initiative with other people, so they might have ended up cut off on that area of the board anyway. It's something that can happen in any XX game, but in this game, because the board permutations are so many, it's often difficult to, assess what it's worth. And then there's a lot of weirdness going on with the board. There's no doubt of that. I think I'm going to load this one up because I'm not going to play for several hours at least because I got to work.